right on a point here, overlooking the canyon. Today I'm riding in Fruita, Colorado, and I'm about to ride the Western Rim Trail, and I'm at the top of the mesa just above the trail, and I'll show you the scenery here. I got to descend down this gravel road down here out into the direction out that way where the Western Rim follows the edge of the Colorado River out that way. So I rode this trail about 5 years ago, and it's a very scenic trail, so let's go ripper. So I'm still riding along the gravel road to the beginning of the Western Rim Trail, and I thought I'd stop here at this overlook of the trail itself. And so you can see this is a trail down there, and it meanders in along all these edges overlooking the river over there. So it's a beautiful trail that I'm nearly at the beginning. Okay, I'm now descending down off the road onto the rim in this very sandy, loose path. So last time I rode this, I came with my friends Paul and Amy, and we got a little ways along this trail and then got off the trail and found ourselves down to the left on a cliff edge that narrowed to nothing, and realized we'd lost the trail and had to backtrack. But we'd persisted with this very sketchy line that we'd followed. And so I'm wary of making the same mistake again. Almost looks like I've made the same mistake again. Yes, the trail is actually up there. But what a scenic spot. Incredibly scenic the whole way. So stay tuned. Great shot of the river straight ahead there. And because this is April, the vegetation down by the river is way more green than it normally would be. And it's windy again. I don't know if it's the river effect or what, but last time it was very windy as well. In fact, I have a little story to tell about the wind. Last time I was on this trail, Paul, Amy, and I rode, and then we went into Fruita for our beers. I had camped at the Rabbit Valley area, not far from the trail. And after dinner in town, I came back to camp and my tent was gone. Those are the days when I was tent camping. And so I had to go back into town and book a hotel, stay the night. And so then the next day I went into the REI. Look at that shot. And so to carry on with my story, next day I went into the REI store in Grand Junction and bought myself a new tent and sleeping bag so I could continue camping. So my road trip then took me over to St. George, Utah to ride the trails around St. George and Hurricane. And 2 days later, I get an email from my local library in North Vancouver. And the email said that somebody from Florida had found my library book. I was dumbfounded. Turns out a couple was here camping in the same campground and then found it. So the email had their contact details, so I phoned them and discovered that they had found my tent and sleeping bag and library book, and was able to contact the library to return my things. Coincidentally, they were also in St. George mountain biking that same time. So I was actually able to retrieve all my gear from this couple from Florida. I was amazed because I figured there's no way I was going to get my stuff back from somebody from Florida. That's a long way from Fruita, Colorado. So anyway, the moral of the story is peg your tent down, which I had done. But that day the winds were like 50, 60 miles an hour. And the couple from Florida told me where they retrieved it was a few hundred yards from where the campsite was. I had done a very thorough search for my gear. The day after, it blew away and couldn't find anything within about 100-yard radius or so. So I figured somebody stole my gear. In these windy places, I find sometimes Moab can be very windy too. So look at this. Outstanding scenery here. And what a fun flowy trail as well. As we meander in and out along the rim. So if you like this trail, you'll also like the Mary's Trail in the Kokopelli region of Fruita, which also has a segment just like this. But those trails are very busy. And this one is, there's no one on it. The reason is, it's very hard to access. It's a bit of a pain because there's extensive riding along double track gravel roads to get to the beginning and return from the end of this trail. But if you don't mind a pedal, this can be a great outing for a day. The trail itself is very rideable. Yeah, so I had just ridden around the rim all the way around there. But look at the colors of the layers in this canyon. And then the green out in the plains across the river. Beautiful. So in riding from the south to the north, we're riding a little downriver and we lose a little bit of elevation. So the flow factor is actually better to do it in this direction. Yeah, last time I rode this trail, Paul and I rode right out to this point. Had a good chuckle about how amazing this little spot was. Right on a point here, overlooking the canyon. Dude, look at that. Here, let's do a panorama. Very cool rock feature straight out there. And then back this way. So the trail will keep going across the ledge there. Again, look at the colors. Evidence of dirt bikers. Nice. Yeah, fun. Oh yeah, fun. 2 lines there. Another scenic overlook here. Here, let's stop again. There's even a dirt trail down there. I don't know what that is. There are Jeep tracks all over the place. Okay, so this is the last overlook as the trail heads inland to join into the dirt road again. So here's where we are on the river, and those cliff edges we rode in and out all around. So that's the Western Rim. Well, that Western Rim is a pretty fabulous trail. A lot of fun, flowy, incredibly scenic, but a little challenging to get to and from the trail. So that's the one drawback, I would say, with this trail. But otherwise, certainly worth trying to do this. So thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time.